Thank you and good morning everyone. On behalf of Edelweiss, I welcome you all for Natco Pharma's fourth quarter FY18 earnings call. Today we have with us the senior management of the company represented by Mr. Rajiv Nanapane, Vice Chairman and CEO. Mr. Rajesh Chabiyam, Vice President Acquisitions, Institutional Investor Management and Corporate Communications. I would like to hand over the conference to Mr. Rajesh for the opening remarks. Over to you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Deepak, and welcome again everyone to Natco's conference call discussing our earnings results for the fourth quarter and the full year of FY18, which ended March 31st, 2018. And as a standard disclaimer, during this call we may be making certain forward-looking statements which are predictions, projections or statements about future events. Because forward-looking statements inherently involve risks and uncertainties, actual future results may differ materially from those expressed or implied by such forward-looking statements. We also state the material in the call, with the exception of participant questions, the property of Natco and cannot be recorded or rebroadcast without Natco's expressed written permission. Coming to the earnings details, the company is pleased to announce its results with a consolidated total revenue of 2,242 crores for the year ended on March 31st, 2018, as against for the last year at 2,079 crores, reflecting a year-over-year growth of 7.9%. The net profit for the period on a consolidated basis was 695 crores as against 185 crores last year, showing a growth of 50%. For the fourth quarter, ended March 31st, 2018, the company recorded a net revenue of 788 crores on a consolidated basis, as against 577 crores during Q4 of FY17, posting an increase of 36.5%. The profit after tax on a consolidated basis was recorded as 299 crores for the quarter, as against 176 crores same quarter last year, showing a growth of 70%. The growth in revenue and profit during the year was driven primarily by formulations business in the USA that included niche generic product launches of glatiramer acetate, liposomal doxorubicin, and lanthanum carbonate. Additionally, generic oseltamivir sales in the US was a strong contributor for the company in spite of competition. The domestic oncology formulation business continued to be strong during the year in spite of the macroeconomic headwinds such as impact of GST. This was possible due to some first-to-launch generic domestic oncology products and continued growth of our existing portfolio products. Now, we'll take a pause here and we'll take questions.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone phone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. To ask a question, please press star followed by 1 now. We have a first question from the line of Sudarshan Padmanabhan from Sundaram Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hello, thank you for taking my question and congrats on good set of numbers. So my question is, on Tamiflu. Last year, the same period, I remember your commentary saying that a part of Tamiflu has been, shifted to the first quarter. I'm just trying to understand whether a similar thing has happened in the fourth quarter, whether there has been some kind of a shift of Tamiflu to the next quarter.
Sudarshan, I think I said that last time. I'll just repeat it again. I think we recognize revenue on accrual basis. So what will happen is some portion of the Tamiflu profit has been recognized in Q4 and some of it will also be recognized in Q1 of 2019 March. Okay?
Sure. And any idea how much would that be? Would it be like 50-50 or, what would be the magnitude of the profits across?
I don't want to say that. I'll give you a general year guidance. In that it will be good.
Sure. And, sir, the second question is, I would also like to understand the, dynamics on both 40 mg and 20 mg of Copaxone. And also if you can give some clarity with respect to how are the other molecules like, acetabine and, Doxil, how they have also, contributed for the US business.
Sure. I mean, as you've seen, Copaxone is doing well. I think especially the 40 mg has done very well. We have got nearly 15-16% market share. The ramp-up has been slow, but that's the nature of a product. I think you have seen in the past, even with Momenta and Sandoz, it takes time. I think even Momenta took almost a year to get a significant market share. We are on track and we are happy. And so I think the benefit of Copaxone will see it over the next few quarters. The benefit we see now is also there, but I think we'll probably see a greater benefit as time goes by. Yeah. So that's on Copaxone. And in terms of profits, I think, Azacetate has not done so great. I think it's fairly eroded. I think we have about 7 to 8% market share, but it's nothing, it's not a large number which makes a huge difference. Regarding the other ones, I think Lantanum has done well because we're the only generic on that. And doxorubicin also has done well. So the top 4 performers in the US have been these 4 products. Copaxone, Tamiflu, doxorubicin and Lantanum carbon.
Sure. So one last question from my side. If I'm looking at the India business, both oncology and non-oncology, if you can give some clarity, especially with respect to hepatitis C. I think we were supposed to, we have launched the combination, and the last 2 years has been very good for us as far as traction in this business. How do we see this hepatitis C franchise both in India? And as we launch this hepatitis C in emerging markets, do we see probably the erosion or the pace of growth coming down in India to be captured by the emerging markets? And also some, thought and clarity on the oncology space, how that's expected to grow for us.
I think, overall the domestic has done well. I think domestic this year had a couple of issues. One was the GST implementation kind of threw some numbers off in the June quarter. The second is the way we're stating the numbers. Earlier years we used to include excise duty. Now we're not including excise duty because of the way the accounting is done, excluding excise duty because GST is not included in the sale number. So that kind of shows a slight decline. But overall, I think we've seen a decline in the FC portfolio. I think that has been reflected in the earlier quarters. Now I think the decline has stopped. I think now we're having a run rate. Last quarter, we did about 58 crores in the domestic branded hepatitis C. Quarterly wise, we're doing around about 70 crores a quarter. So that's a run rate that we're comfortable with. About it going up and down, I think we see it now stabilizing. I think once the ROW start kicking in, I think it should stabilize at a slightly higher number. But I think that's probably around the stabilized number. Could I go to the next caller, please? Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. We have a next question from the line of Ravi Dharamshi from ValueQuest Investment Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my call. My question. My question is regarding the cash flows. So we have the QIP money raised has been put in the bank, and we'll be generating a lot of money from Copaxone cash flows this year and Tamiflu also. So what exactly are we thinking about utilizing that cash? We haven't even given a dividend this year. So what are the thoughts on that?
I gave a dividend, Ravi. We gave a dividend of almost, to be very precisely, we gave 181 crore dividend this year, which is about 26% of our last year's PAT. So we gave 2 dividends. I think one after the first quarter earnings and second one after the third quarter earnings. So total we gave a dividend of 8 rupees 25 paise. So I think 26% of our PAT is what we gave. So about 155 crores in dividend and 26 crores in dividend distribution tax. In terms of utilization of funds, I think the cash balance as of March 31st was, give me a moment here, let's just pull that up, 856 crores. So if you really look at it, I think we used the QIP money to do some capex and paid on some of the small debt that we have had. In terms of utilization, I think we believe we'll be spending about 350 to 400 crores in capex this year. And also similar amount of dividend will give in 2019. That's our view. In terms of cash utilization, I think we believe we're just keeping the cash tranche for an acquisition or a large business idea. As of today, with the way the business plan is being executed, I don't think we'll be spending more than 350 to 400. And I think most of it will be funded. The capex and the dividend will be funded through the cash flows. That's the way we look at it.
Okay. What is the status on the Vizag plant? We still are showing quite a large number of capital and working capital, WIP.
I think it's not closed. I think we are, but I think another 2.5 to 3 months we'll be able to close the plant. I think our idea is that by August, September, we should be able to complete the plant. So by September, we should be on that. I think that's our expectation.
Okay. Just one last question from my end. What is the status on Revlimid in terms of our approval, and what is your reading of the situation regarding what is happening between Celgene and Dr. Reddy?
I can speak about our approval. In terms of our approval, I think we had some queries. I think we have got all the data has been generated. So we're submitting to the FDA now. So if all goes well, we should be able to get an approval by end of this year or early next year. Our settlement date stands, March 22 stands. Reddy's and all, I mean, I'm watching just the way you are. So I have nothing to say.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Nitin Agarwal from IDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, Rajesh, can you help us with the split of the business as you normally give for the quarter and maybe for the year also?
Sure, I will. Nitin, so on the API business, I'll go for the quarter, Q4 first. The API domestic, 8.2 crores. API exports, 51.5 crores. Formulation onco, which also includes a small element of C&D business, is 82.8 crores. Formulations and non-onco, which is hepatitis C inclusive, there is 62.4. Formulations third party is 13.3 crores. So the total formulations domestics for the quarter was 158.5 crores. Okay. And formulation exports, which includes the profit sharing as well, is 492 crores. Okay, listen.
Okay. And would you be able to help us with these full year numbers also for these things?
Yeah, sure. So the full year API gross revenue is 285 crores. Right. Domestic formulation 720 crores. And exports formulation is 1,041.
Okay, thank you. Rajesh, secondly, on the business, how should we look at the business over the next, when we take a 2 to 3 year view? This year we've got Copaxone, there is some amount of Tamiflu that will come through in the year. So two things. One is, how do you see Tamiflu in the new season given the fact that the multiple new approvals which have come through? And how do we grow beyond Tamiflu and Copaxone over the next couple of years? Sure.
I think in terms of future-wise, I think we are projecting a very base growth of about 8-10% on top line and on bottom line. This is the base numbers. I'm assuming that Copaxone ramp-up takes time. I'm also assuming that Tamiflu upside is gone for the next season. Even we assume the worst, we still think we'll be able to grow by 8-10%. And that's for 2019 March. And about 2020 and 21, I think I've been saying this for the last 12 months. As a strategy, we have decided to focus more on ROW markets, India, Brazil, and Canada. These are 3 legends. So we believe that there will be significant ramp-up in 2020 from these 3 markets with a strong focus on India, Canada, and Brazil. And in Canada, we have done almost $15 million top line with very good profits. And Brazil is losing money, but we have about 6 or 7 filings where we're trying to be the first generic in Brazil for certain items. So all these ramp-ups will happen in 2020, and whatever we have, I think we're able to sustain what we are doing in 18 and 19 into 20 because of our pivot or our focus on ROW.
Thanks, and best of luck.
Thank you, sir. We have a next question from the line of Dhiresh Pathak from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Thank you. for Hep C third-party revenues, can you share that for the quarter?
Total third-party revenues for the year is just one moment here. So for only hepatitis, we just have just one second. We don't do a split of Hep C and all. I think third-party revenue.
Branded sales you gave Hep C 58 crores. Domestic branded.
The quarter you're saying.
For the quarter I'm saying. So Hep C, generally you give a breakup sometimes, between domestic brand, third party, emerging markets.
So I think what we'll do is, of the Hep C split you want, you're saying. Okay.
Yes.
See, the Hep C we have said, I think 62 crores was what we said is the Hep C.
Okay.
58, I'm sorry. Total for the quarter was 70 crores, 58 is domestic.
Okay. And have you given any color in terms of how much was Copaxone contribution specifically?
We're not doing that for strategic reasons. I think because of competitive reasons, I stopped doing that for the last couple of quarters.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have a next question from the line of Kartik Mehta from Deutsche Bank. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So on the guidance, so with one of the guys, one of the companies from India not being in Copaxone for entire FY19, would you assume that the 10% profit growth for FY19 which you are guiding is a very, very conservative number? And in terms of upside, how do you look at this? Because for the entire year, it might be that there will be only two players. Is my assumption right? Thanks.
See, I'm assuming, again, very conservative numbers. I'm assuming the next flu season will be, will be very competitive and I will not able to repeat the numbers. And second, I'm assuming that the Copaxone ramp-up will take time. 8 to 10, I'd like to be conservative, Kartik. I think, will it be better than 8 to 10? I think I can make the judgment as the year goes. I don't want to say it right now, Kartik. I think, but let's work with the worst case scenario that I'm comfortable saying 8 to 10% if, things are very conservative. If there's anything better, we'll see how the future unfolds. As of now, I don't want to comment beyond that.
Sure. And one question on the way you guys hedge. And I'm not asking for any exact numbers for Copaxone from you. All I'm asking is that how do you hedge this particular asset now that there is certainty of revenues? Does the weak rupee help you? Do you keep it unhedged? Do you hedge more in terms of the way you realize? Is it after a quarter? Is it after after 2 quarters? How do you account in the books?
No, we don't hedge. When the money comes, the day when it comes, we exchange. We don't hedge.
Okay.
And we leave it open. So if everything is left open.
And the last, if I may just squeeze in one, is in terms of the milestones for Copaxone, it is fair to assume that would be realized somewhere in FY19, right? Because you will have some milestone number, let's say, beyond which, I
can't get into the agreement. I think all the milestones are considered and the guidance I'm giving of 8 to 10% assumes all the, based on the arrangement that we have with Mylan, the milestones will be met and on a very conservative way. I'm assuming 8 to 10% growth on our base numbers.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star followed by 1 on your touchtone phone. We have a next question from the line of Kunal Randeria from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. I just want to understand how this Hep C market in India is evolving. Because, we saw a partner reporting a sharp quarter-on-quarter jump. We haven't reported a corresponding jump. Just wanted to understand what is happening here. Is the price erosion over? And what are your thoughts for the coming year?
What has the partner done? He has reported or not reported?
He has reported a sharp quarter-on-quarter increase in Hep C sales.
Yes, again, it's the way he talks and all, because sometimes we buy raw material, but I can only speak about myself. I don't want to talk about other people. I think I told you, I think I'll reiterate it again. I think we used to have a stable number of 110, 115 earlier. We have dropped to 70 crores a quarter now. And that's a number it looks, in the last few months, that's been the most, the number as of today. I think that's where we stand on the FC.
Right. And the progress in international markets, Southeast Asia?
We're hoping for some openings in certain markets. I think Indonesia has been due for an approval for lunch sometime. Philippines has been due for an approval. There's no generic in Indonesia and Philippines. So we're hoping we'll get a breakthrough. So these are two big markets where we're hoping. So if that comes through, then I think we'll be able to see some movement. And we also have a good portfolio with Loris. We're trying to launch other products as well. So I think it should improve. But specific to Hep C, I think these two markets will be.
Right. And just one last P&L question. Employee expenses have jumped very sharply. So is it a fourth quarter phenomenon or is there some one-off, some provisions?
Yes, sure. I think what we have done is, to be very precise, I think we had a very good year for our size company. So we rewarded our employees. So there's a one-time charge of 20 crores that we took in this quarter because of all the support that we got from our employees. We gave them a one-time bonus. So that was about 20 crores for this quarter. And there was a rule change where government has said that employees have to receive gratuity amount, which was 10 lakhs, has been capped to 20 lakhs now. So that led to a one-time charge of 10 crores. And then we have general ESOP expenditure. I think ESOP will continue in 18 March and 19 March. So that will wear off, I think, post 19 March. So these are three major contributors.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Ranveer Singh from Systematics Shares and Stocks. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question. So, one on Copaxone, just indicative, in this Q4, Copaxone revenue has been higher than Q3?
I told, for competitive reasons, we're not disclosing the nature of our contract with Mylan and the revenue share and all that. We're not disclosing. I think we're giving only a large composite number. We're not doing a split. I think Mylan requested us not to do the split, and I think I'm going with that. Okay.
Okay, fine. So, just indicative, I didn't want any number, but...
My friend, I sorry I answered that question. I'm giving you a gross number. I think there's a specific request for competitive reasons, and we have to respect that. Okay?
Fine. No issue. And Hep C, what have been sales in export of Hep C products?
Could you say that again?
Exports. If you could split between India and export sales of Hep C.
I think that's it's been only 2 crores last, for the year, it's been 17 crores and 2 crores for last quarter.
Quarterly, you're saying?
Yeah, quarter. For the year, we did about 18 crores. Or 18 crores, yeah. 17.83 crores, to be precise.
Okay. And just a clarity for Hep C, whether we have Japan also in our agreement geography?
No, Japan is not covered. It's only third world countries.
Okay, fine. And one more, if I could. I see Revlimid is a major key asset going forward. Can you give some indication if other than Revlimid we have something in pipeline?
I think we have said no. I think what we have said is we have a whole bunch of launches. See, right now, you're generally asking me what the launches in the next few years are, or specific to Revlimid, or we have a whole bunch of first to files, I think, playing out in the next few years. I think in the near term, as I said, Glatiramer and Tamiflu numbers will play a role. I think as the years progress, I think we're expecting Canada and Brazil will kick in starting from 20 March, I think, where we have filed from first time generics. And later on, we have FTF on lenalidomide, we have FTF on sorafenib, we have FTF on bendamustine. So those are the ones that are there. They're all there in the presentation on the website.
Okay, fine.
And then there's everolimus tablets, oncology products. These are the big ones in the US.
Fine.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Damayanti Karai from HSBC. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. So my question is regarding that you mentioned Brazil is one of the focus market going ahead beyond FY19. So we have seen a few Indian companies seeing success there. So what gives you confidence that you will do well in Brazil? And are you seeing any improvement in regulatory approval cycle timeline there?
See, Damayanti, I think I'll tell you, I have confidence for two reasons. One is that we got our first approval in Brazil after 7 years of setting up this hub. So we got an approval for letrozole tablets. So it's not a large product, but that's one. Second, I think they have changed the rules in Brazil where you have to get a yes or no within 1 year, whether you're going to give an approval or you have to give queries. So that has fast-tracked the things in Brazil. And a lot of the things that we have filed were filed 2-3 years ago. Finally, we are able to see sort of the light of the day. So I think that's what gives me a confidence. And I think I'm getting more confidence because some of the filings that we've done are first-time launches in Brazil. I think the key is, as I said in at the start of our conversation, we have to get these approvals by 19 March, and we have to see the launches in 20. I think what we need to look out among, and we'll make these announcements as we go along, when we get major approvals in Brazil, that in the next 12 months we're seeing visibility that we'll get some approvals for some of these big products in the next, that we have filed.
Okay. And again, coming back here, so FY19 beyond, as you said, like India, Brazil and Canada will be our key focus. So does it mean that these markets will be like contributing, or like these markets will be forming larger portion of our overall sales or revenue compared to the US? So how do you...
My thinking is that whatever we will lose in, let's say, our Tamiflu and all, we'll be able to make it up with these three markets together, India, Canada and Brazil together. I think that's the plan, and that's what we are trying to execute. That's good.
Okay. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Okay.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Sriram Rathi from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my question. Few questions, sir. First, on the Copaxone, does the export formulations revenue of Q4 capture the proportionate profit share for Copaxone for the sales done till 31st March?
I said, I don't want to do the split and all. I think the profit share number of Copaxone is included in that number. Yes.
Okay, that's included. Perfect. Okay. And Copaxone is currently manufactured by us or by Mylan for the sales which have been done?
I think we have said this in the past. The 20 mg is manufactured at a contract site in India. 40 mg is manufactured in Mylan site in Ireland.
Okay, got it. And how much has been the R&D for this year in FY18?
I think standard 6-7%. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, 6-7% of sales. Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question, please.
Thank you, sir. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star 1 now. We have a next question from the line of Kapil Kriplani, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking the call. The question. My question is that I just saw the results and the board thing. So I just saw that there is a board seat given to one of the PE from multiples.
Correct.
Have they come in through QIP or the promoters have reduced the stake or something like?
No. I think they participated in QIP, and that QIP happened many months ago, as you're aware.
Right.
Incidentally, I think Vivek Chachi, who represents our Investor CX fund, has resigned for his personal reasons. And so I think what we needed another investor who's a non-independent investor. So we looked at our portfolio and we identified someone who had a large holding, and we invited multiples.
Thank you. And one more thing, this maybe you have already answered this, but this rev limit is which year is we are expecting?
The earnings will be the launch date is 22 March, so the earnings impact will be in 22 March.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Gagan Thareja from Kotak Investment. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. Can you give some roadmap of the development of your cardio-diabetology portfolio for India? Where do you stand today, and how do you see this evolving in a 3-year time frame?
It's just started. I think last year we did about, let me just tell you the number last year. I think it's a very modest start. I think we did about 4.5-5 crores last year.
You're very small.
But we hope to wrap it up as we go.
Okay. Secondly, you indicated that between India, Brazil, Canada, the incremental sales should compensate for the loss that you see in Tamiflu next year.
Absolutely.
But beyond that, can you give us some idea of what scale these 3 geographies will evolve into, or what do you aspire to maybe in a medium term, 3 to 5 year time frame?
Putting a number on earnings in 2020 today, I think is a little premature. I think we have to give us a little more time as we have more clarity on regulatory approvals and launch plans. I think I'll have it maybe in the later part of the year. I think the question was more of a strategic. I think we are probably one of the first ones to say that we want to de-emphasize US. We did that almost 12 months ago, and a lot of the resources we have spent on these 3 markets, and I think we're going to see a lot of it coming to fruition. And we're one of the earliest ones to say that we wanted to de-risk away from the US, leaving out the big complex launches. I think that strategy is panning out, and I think we'll see the benefit of that. I'm in the first one technology. I think 18 and 19 are heavily US dependent. I think what we want to see is by 20 we want to bring down the US dependency dramatically. And I think 2 to 2.5 years is enough time to see the benefit of that. I think 20 is where I think we see the benefit of that.
Okay. And finally, if I can ask one more, maybe is it possible to get some idea on the ramp up of some of your critical launches that happened last year, Doxil, Fostrenol, and Vidaza? Where do you see the coming few months in these products from a competitive standpoint?
Right now, we're not seeing anyone. Fortunately, we're not seeing anyone. I think at the sake of being conservative, we'll see someone in the next few months for sure. But as of now, we're not seeing anyone. Azacitidine has been a fairly competitive product. There's nothing to write home about. The ones, Doxo and Fostrenol have done well for us. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
We'll give a chance to another caller, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of P. Hari from PCS Securities. Please go ahead.
This is Sri Hari. Thanks for the opportunity. Firstly, if you shared the profit share figure, I would like to know that. And secondly, if I do a simplistic exercise of knocking out the profit share and trying to find the base earnings, that doesn't work out. So can you please tell what are the cost elements which you're writing off against the profit share? Thank you.
See, I think what happens is because our business is heavily dependent on the profit share, because always historically, I don't know if you followed our balance sheet, profit share represents a significant part of our earnings. So you can't sort of separate one from the other. I think that's the first thing I would like to say, because what we do is we book sale only at cost plus, and we only book our profits on an item only after on the accrual basis. So I think that's not a fair way of judging it. Costs are linked to its success, so costs tend to be, if you spend more when you make more money, right? So we knew that the cash flow is coming, so that's one reason why we give incentive to employees, or, that we're willing to spend more money on R&D. So it's not a fair way to judge. That's my opinion. Okay?
So, I mean, apart from manpower expenses, how much of R&D would be attributable to these one-time elements, if I may call it?
R&D tends to be like, for example, see, what you're asking is, and I can give you a very philosophical answer. I don't want to give you a number answer, so to speak. Let's say you're going to make 100 rupees surplus this quarter. So then your anticipation. So then you're willing to spend at least 20, 30 rupees of surplus on doing an R&D project. But if you know that you only have 50 rupees surplus, then you will say, okay, fine, I'll only spend 5 rupees or 6 rupees because you don't want to hurt the cash flow and the capex plan. So you make those decisions based on the extent of your profit.
And what is the profit share for the quarter?
I'm not doing a profit share split per se, but we're saying composite sale of of export for this quarter has been about 433 crores.
433.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Kartik Mehta from Deutsche Bank. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So how do you see pricing in the US? And in terms of India business, would you assume that, is it fair to assume that 10-11% overall industry growth would actually see you guys to grow about 13 to 14% X of sold?
I think so. I strongly believe if you remove the HC portfolio vacillation, I think we will grow by about 15-16%. I think we're very bullish about domestic. A lot of our pipeline and R&D rupees has been on domestic. So we'll see very good output coming out of domestic. And domestic is a good steady state business. And I think we continue to be bullish. Regarding the US, I think, Karthik, we are in an unusual situation, right? I mean, a lot of the items where there's heavy competition, there's no money to be made. And the buyer consolidation has really, caused a lot of problems in the business. I think we are all hoping, again, optimistically, that somehow that this cannot continue forever. But as of today, it looks bad. And we are hoping that, certain people have announced that they will leave these products. And therefore, somehow there'll be one product or two products where you have a position and things will change dramatically. I think that's the hope the industry has. I am a little more negative about it. I think you can't build a business on hope. I think I'm a little more, my opinion is that you can't do business on hope. I think you need to have a clear strategy. And I think you need either if you have a niche, smart item, you make money. Otherwise, you don't make money in the US. And that's what you need to go for. And if it's not coming through, then, it is tough. And people are optimistic that it'll turn around, but as of now, there's no signs of turnaround, to be very honest.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Tanush Mehta from Dalal & Broacha. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Good morning. So can you give me the breakup of formulation revenue in terms of exports and oncology?
I'm not, as I told for the export formulation, my friend, I'm not doing a split. I've already told you that. We gave you a gross number of 433 crores is the formulation sale. I think that answers that question. And the domestic one, we are willing to split. I think we already did the split. I think 158 crores was last quarter sale for domestic, of which 82 was from Onco, 62 was from hepatitis C and gastro division, and 13 crores was from third parties.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Kunal Mehta from Vallam Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. I just have one question that we had reached a settlement with Novartis for imatinib. So any guidance you can give on the possible launch of the product?
We have a TAD. I don't remember the date top of my head. We have it. The TAD is somewhere in this financial year, but I'm not very bullish, honestly. I think it's a disaster. I don't think we'll make any money. So that's why we're not talking too much about it. I think there are already 3-4 generics. Once more than 4 guys are there, it's finished.
Okay. Thank you for answering the question.
I'm not saying we'll launch it, but I don't think it will have any meaningful impact on the EPS. I think that's my personal view, but I hope I stand to be corrected with time.
So, just a follow-up question, Rajiv. Do you still believe the market is at least, in terms of generic size, at least 300 million market?
It's not true. The thing with oncology drugs is this, okay, the volume always is small. If the price is good, then it's very interesting. But once the price collapses, the whole market collapses. And my reading is it's going to be a tough market. By the time we get an approval, I don't think we'll
then I'm not bullish, honestly. I know you are bullish, but personally I'm not.
Okay. Okay, Rajiv. Thank you.
Sorry to be the contrarian, but the other way, but it is the way it is. I mean, any product which has good supply situation where there are 4-5 generics is very difficult to make money.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the answer.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Dhiresh Pathak from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So, Canada, you said that the size of the business is 15 million for the full year, right?
15 million Canadian dollars. Yeah.
15 million Canadian dollars. What is the size of the Brazil business last year?
Brazil business, I think, is about, just can you give me a minute? I'll just pull that up. I think it's about 4 to 5 million, but I think my colleague Rajesh is actually pulling it up. It's about 4.5 to 5 million in that region, and it lost money, I think. That business lost money.
Okay. And earlier you, in the breakup, you said export formulation 492, then you gave 433. So the difference is that 433 is just US and 492 is total. Is that?
No. 433 was the profit sharing part of it, and 59 is sales. So total our gross amount is 492.
Understood. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Nitin Agarwal from IDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Rajiv, on Canada and Brazil, your businesses largely going to be tender-driven businesses, or these going to be businesses where you'll be putting up your own field force?
I think Canada, we have our own field force. So Canada is our own front end. I think these two countries, we are in the front end. Brazil is dependent on tenders because we're bidding in government tenders. And we have filed for products where we have a limited amount of competition. Again, this being the underlining statement that provided we get approval by 19 March on some of these big products, we'll see a reasonable upside in 20 March. I think that's the expectation that we have.
And secondly, on these numbers on Canada and Brazil, they are included in the 492 crores of sales that you mentioned?
No, they're not. No, that's in the standalone, right? This shows in the console.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you.
The difference between the standalone and console is where you'll capture this number. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Dhaval Shah from Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good morning. I wanted to know on Bosantan, we had a target action date possibly somewhere in March. Can that be a good opportunity for F19?
I think we have a tag again in Bosantan in this financial year again.
Okay. So there were some queries which came in March, is it?
Queries, I think there's a tag date. I think we have answered all the questions. Again, I'm working from top of my head, so what I can tell you for sure is we have a tag date sometime in this financial year. And my expectation on Bosantan is if we get a first wave launch with limited number of guys, we'll make money. If we come with everyone else, it's finished. I don't think we'll make any money. The question is, they will come in first wave or not is a question that I'm not able to answer. So we'll see, I think, based on, I'm trying to be a little conservative, guys, because again, if I say something optimistic and it doesn't happen, then, it doesn't look nice. So on Bosantan also, we're being very conservative. I'm not expecting too much upside. But I think the upside will only happen provided we are in the first phase. Okay?
Sure. And when is the tag? Which month?
I don't remember, so I don't want to say something I don't recollect. It is sometime in this financial year. I'm not able to recollect. I'm not able to recollect, but sometime in this financial year.
Okay. Sure. And second thing is on Copaxone. While we understand that, F19 you would have a fairly good run because competitors have got postponed. But even after, another two guys come in, what kind of a price erosion would you think the whole thing settles at, and what could be a recurring pie in Copaxone, after four guys are there into the market?
I think even if four guys are there, it's a strong annuity product. I think the ability to substitute is very difficult. The longer the other guys take, it tends to be sticky. The extent of the stickiness and all, the amount and all, is hard to judge. I don't want to say something about 20 sitting today at the end of 18. So we'll see with time. But as I said, I think, we've been very conservative in our guidances. I think we've assumed very conservative numbers. And any upsides in the future, we'll talk about it as we go along.
Sure. And would you think the same way for Revlimid in terms of, being a good annuity as in when it goes generic, of course, post the benefit that you will have for the first 6 months, etc.?
Absolutely. I think that's how I look at that as well. I think you've seen that time and again with, isotretinoin that Ranbaxy had in the past. You've seen that with a lot of these, REM products where there's limited, there's a, restriction in the way it's marketed. So there's a strong annuity element to it. The extent of it is only time will tell, but there is a strong element to it. It's not like a plain vanilla generic. That's for sure.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Purvi Shah from Sharekhan Limited. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. So just wanted to know on the debtors front for the year, they've increased considerably. So when do we see this normalizing again to the previous levels?
You mean in terms of the receivable you're saying? That receivable amount you're talking about?
It's the payables. Hello? Hello? Hello?
I'm trying to understand your question. You're talking about the receivable...
The receivables, yes.
Receivable, I think what happened was booked it because we had the upside in March.
Right.
Most of it we have received. We already received the money. So.
Okay. And so the other thing that I would like to know about is the tax rate. So what do we expect it to be going forward for the next 2 years?
We will stay at 21%.
21%. Yeah. Thank you, sir, and all the best.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Dhiresh Pathak from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick clarification. So the numbers that you mentioned, export formulation 492, that is all US formulation because these are standalone numbers you're mentioning, and Canada, Brazil, and other markets, they are not part of standalone numbers, correct?
The 492 predominantly is the US. It also has some non-US sales also, but predominantly US.
Okay. And the difference between consol and standalone is Canadian business?
To be very precise, my friend, I think the actual, the subsidiary sale numbers is 106 crores.
Okay. But just in terms of the underlying market that it caters to, apart from Canada and Brazil, is there anything else?
Those are two major subs. I think that they make up 99% of the sales.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Kunal Randeria from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Rajiv, thanks for taking my question. Just wanted to get your thoughts on, the REMS products. Because, a couple of weeks back, the FDA also said that, they want to check how these originators are gaming the system. You think that will make a meaningful difference to the REMS products going forward, say something like a Tracleer?
Well, the RLE becomes simpler to procure. That will make a difference to the system. Obviously, the generic will come much easier to the market. Absolutely, I think. Again, I'm going with what you're saying and what I've read in the press. And anything that improves access is great. I think if REMS products are easily available, I think there'll be more generic filers, and that's good for the healthcare system of the country.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Ranveer Singh from Systematic Shares and Stocks. Please go ahead.
Thanks for follow-up. Sir, just a clarity, 8 to 10% growth guidance you said about US or about...
company, Ranveer.
As a company. Okay.
Back on revenue both. So 2,000, this year we made 2,000, let me be precise. So we're giving 2,400 to 2,450 crores and PAT growth of 8 to 10% on the 695 crores that we made last year. Okay?
And earlier you mentioned that investment in some complex type of products, what we are planning will unfold in 2-3 years down the line, or maybe in longer period. So can you give a little more color on it, where actually we are targeting in terms of...
Targeting, we don't have any filings as yet. I think we'll talk about it, but I think we have stated that we're working on doxorubicin, glatiramer type of products. Hopefully we'll have a couple of filings in the next, in this end of the next financial year. I think next calendar year. I think we're targeting a couple of filings next year.
No, so is that in biologicals also, or it is purely
chemistry products, but complex drugs. As a strategy, we're not doing biologics.
Okay, fine, sir.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Amrita Malu from Dhanseri Investments. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah,
sir, I have just one question regarding other income. What is the nature of other income, the 20 crores?
Let me see. Out of 20 crore, if I remember top of my head, give me 1 minute, yeah? So 16 crores, 16 crores I think is interest income. You're talking about Q4, no?
Okay. That is interest income, the 16 crore.
I think the 20 crore other income you're talking about is from Q4 you're talking about, right?
Yes, Q4 only.
Yeah.
Is it sustainable type of income or this is a one-timer income?
16 is interest income. 4 is from export benefits. Roughly, I'm telling you. So about 20. It is sustainable, I believe, because our cash hold will increase in the next few months because of the receivable that we're expecting. In fact, it will actually go up in the coming quarter.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. We have a next question from the line of Nitin Agarwal from IDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Rajiv, on the emerging markets, apart from Canada, or rather other markets outside of US, apart from Canada and Brazil, are there any other markets that you're looking to open up in a meaningful way going forward?
No, these 3 are the focus items. I think I'm a big fan of trying to do one country and doing it well. So basically what we are trying to do in each country is in Canada, what we're doing is we're trying to do almost 7 litigations in Canada through our front end, where we're trying to launch first-time generics in Canada. In Brazil, we're focusing again on 6 or 7 products where we're trying to be first-time generics in Brazil and trying to focus on the government tender business. And India, we're focusing on the branded generic business. I think focus on these 3 and give you 100% with a nice, diversified portfolio. I think that's where the real value is.
And in these 2 markets, your portfolio is largely what the US, the portfolio that you develop for US is what you're looking to take to these markets, or you developing specific?
Mostly, yeah.
Okay. And lastly, for FY18, has there been any interesting filing that you've done in the US? Any meaningful filing?
Meaningful, I think only one first file we had in 18, and that was the Sofosavir tablets. It's not a big product. I think it's like a $50-60 million product. But that's the only big one that we filed.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Sri Hari from PCS Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Just to understand the scalability potential for Brazil and Canada. The Brazilian business, is that entirely tender driven?
Some of it is branded, some of it is tender.
Okay. If you can just give an indication about what is the kind of multiple you would be looking at in terms of the tender business. I mean, for how much you bid last year, how much you would be possibly bidding?
We are in the process of registering products, my friend. We don't have any tenders that we have bid. What we're saying is that I'm saying 2 things. One is that we got our first approval in Brazil. 2, we have filed interesting set of products. 3, we're saying that we're hoping we'll get all approvals by 19 March. And we're hoping to bid in 20 March. And what I'm trying to say is that we are seeing clarity and we are hoping to see more approvals in 19. And once these come in, we'll be able to see an impact on the 20 March.
So you expect the growth to be driven majorly by the non-tender business?
Tender and non-tender, both together. And the question that the person asked, I don't recollect the name, was what are you going to do in 20 March because of once Tamiflu wears off. I think the point we're trying to say was that if that were to wear off, these 3 will substitute what we're going to lose. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, and vis-a-vis sales of 5 million and 15 million for these 2 markets, any internal targets for fiscal 20?
I don't want to say any number right now. I think 20 we'll talk about in late 19. I don't want to talk about, I think as the year progresses, when you're coming into like end of this financial year, I think I can give you more clarity. Strategically, I can tell you that's what we're focusing on. Numbers and all, I think it's a little premature, it all depends on the regulatory milestones being met. I think once we meet these milestones and once we get clarity, I think I'll give you more definite numbers. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Rajesh Prasad from Wellspring. Please go ahead.
Yeah, this question is basically, you mentioned that you need to have a field force in Canada. So does the Canada generic market works more like an India branded generic kind of a thing?
No. It doesn't. When I say field force, not like 500 people and all. No, not that kind. Our office has 10 employees, so that's all you need. And see what happens, and just for the benefit of your question, see, North America, especially US and Canada, they all work on consolidated distribution models. So you don't have to go and promote to the doctor. You promote to the distributor and you get the business. So, and there are like 3 or 4 distributors who control the whole business. So you need to have a field force. You can contract them out and they get a commission out. They cover the smaller pharmacies. But that's peculiar to Canada, but most times you don't need too many employees.
And my next question was, basically I see Natco's strategy as making the money from the first to file opportunities. But as the first to file opportunities dry up, you either need to move into the complex generics or the specialty space, or else what you mentioned, you need to diversify the geography. So what I hear you say is the geographic diversification and focus on Brazil and Canada as the strategy going forward.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, thanks.
We'll take one last question.
Thank you, sir. We have the last question from the line of Gagan Thareja from Kotak Investment. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Is it possible to understand the addressable market of your filings in Brazil and Canada? To some extent, maybe, some color on therapeutic areas and maybe the size of the addressable market.
It is the oncology and the multiple sclerosis portfolio that we're taking to these markets. In terms of the addressable market, I mean, I don't want to say any numbers right now. I don't want to talk about numbers right now because we're in the early stage where we've filed for products and awaiting approvals. Once we have clarity on like approvals and launches, then I think we'll talk about numbers. As of now, we think it's large enough which can give you substantial earnings in 20 months. I think that's the position that we're in. Okay.
Okay. From a competitive...
I'm saying all three together. I think India, domestic,
Brazil,
Canada, and Brazil, all three together will able to offset what. See, US is, if you get something big, it's very large, and it's very difficult for one territory to cover up what you lose in the US. So that's why I'm treating all three together. So all three together strategically can make up for a big loss in the US. I think that's the idea. I think.
Okay. So, and from a competitive standpoint, Brazil and Canada, generic competition, is it relatively less intense in these therapeutic areas for you vis-a-vis US?
Compared to US, if you do a niche portfolio, it is relatively less competitive, but markets are smaller. But if you have a good smart strategy in all these three markets and able to execute a whole portfolio of niche drugs, it's not a bad number compositely.
Okay. And are the revenue streams, relatively speaking, more sustainable than the US market?
I think it's more diversified. I think whether it is, every market has its own peculiarity, but it's more diversified. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
No, thank you, everyone. And again, the wonderful set of questions. Any clarification specifically to the points that were discussed, please feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.